Include the whole city of Oh, okay, so very good small. What? That's pretty good. 270 people. Unfortunately, well, the number is that it's not all okay. Other suburbs around Well, anyways, one lady said, whatever happened to those, like, when you laminate the laminated cards, we used to hang on our refrigerators that said what you could.
Oh, they had those. There were refrigerators.
Are you going to stay for the council?
I was going to stay for it.
I want to thank everybody for coming to the January 16th meeting. Mrs. Thomas, will you please call the roll?
Mr. King?
Here.
Mrs. Sachs? Mr. Cooney?
Here.
Mrs. Wise?
Here.
Mr. Rod?
Here.
Ms. Marshall? Ms. Weiser? Here. Here.
Is there any motion to excuse Ms. Marshall?
So moved. Seconded.
Mrs. Thomas, will you call the roll?
Mr. King?
Aye.
Mrs. Sachs? Mr. Cooney?
Aye.
Mr. Rod?
Aye.
Ms. Marshall? Ms. Marshall? I'm sorry. Ms. Weiser? Aye.
You skipped me.
That's what there's something. Ms. Wise?
Aye. Will everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We are now going to discuss the reading and disposal of the journal. We have the minutes from December 18th first. Is there a motion to approve them?
So moved.
Is there a second? I will second them. Mrs. Thomas, will you call the roll?
Mr. King?
Aye.
Mrs. Sachs? Mr. Cooney?
Aye.
Mrs. Wise?
Aye.
Mr. Rod?
Aye.
Ms. Weiser? Aye.
We also have the minutes from the January 2nd meeting. Is there a motion to accept those?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mrs. Thomas, will you call the roll?
Mr. King?
Aye.
Mrs. Sachs? Mr. Cooney?
Aye.
Mrs. Wise?
Aye.
Mr. Rod?
Aye.
Ms. Weiser? Aye.
Okay, both minutes are approved. Are there any comments from the audience? Okay, there are none. Reports and communications from the mayor and the taking of action thereon. Mayor, do you have any report or communications?
Yes, I have a report. Thank you. I'm pleased to announce that the administration is organizing our city's first sustainable home fair, featuring vendors of sustainable products and services and organizations who offer programs to assist homeowners. The fair will also be featuring workshops. The Sustainable Home Fair will be located in the gyms and classrooms here at the Wiley Middle School building at 2181 Miramar Boulevard. This will be on Sunday, April 21st, 2024 from 1 to 4 p.m. The Sustainable Home Fair is aimed towards University Heights homeowners and others who want information about how to make their homes more energy efficient, less costly to operate, and more sustainable. The Sustainable Home Fair is organized with the assistance of the Citizens Advisory Committee on Sustainability. The reason for the Sustainable Home Fair is, as we'll recall, in June of 2022, the city passed a resolution to become a Power Clean Future PCFO community. and Sparkling Future Ohio, PCFO community, with a goal to reduce our carbon emissions by 30% of 2010 levels by 2030. In 2023, the city conducted a greenhouse gas inventory with the assistance of PCFO. The inventory showed that one of the greatest opportunities the city has to reduce emissions is to help homeowners make their homes more energy efficient. We have reached out to a number of organizations and vendors, including the Home Repair Resource Center, Cleveland Restoration Society, Solar United Neighbors, and the Cuyahoga County Department of Sustainability. We do have an information and sign-up page up on the city website, universityites.com/sustainable-home-fair. Since the last meeting, I have administered the oath of office to Mike Cicero to continue in his role as county prosecutor and assistant law director. As folks are aware, Luke McConville is concluding his time as law director on March 31st, 2024. The job posting for law director is on the city website with applications due by 4 p.m. Monday, January 29, 2024. The CIC will meet on January 17, 2024 at 7 p.m. That's tomorrow here at Wiley. Among the agenda items are the governance issues, which take precedence over all new projects. Chick-fil-A went to ARB last week and received approval with conditions. Chick-fil-A is not on tonight's agenda. You should expect to see it on the agenda of the next regular council meeting of February 5, 2024. Finally, please mark your calendars. The 2024 State of the City address will be Thursday, April 11th, 2024 at 6 p.m. at the University Heights Library, rooms 1 and 2. Thank you. This concludes my report.
Thank you, Mayor. Reports and communications from City Council and taking of action thereon. There is no report for City Council right now. Does anybody else from City Council have anything they would like to say? Yeah, Ms. Weiser?
I have a question. A number of residents contacted me regarding the Alexander Shoal. I did request from the law director a copy of the agreement that was signed. And because that's a public document, I presume we can't speak publicly about it. Is this correct? Mr. McConville?
Well, you're of course allowed to speak publicly about anything that you choose as a public official. You have First Amendment rights. I would note that the settlement that is set forth in that agreement is in the process of being administered. As the agreement notes, the federal court has jurisdiction over enforcement of the settlement agreement. And I would encourage council members to seek information in executive session first prior to making public comment on the status of the Alexander Shoal project, and then leaving it all to you in your own judgment as to what you would feel prudent to share. That would be my ask of council at this juncture.
Thank you, Mr. McConville. I think I'll withhold my comments until after we might have an executive session regarding it.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Weiser. Reports and communications from directors in the Department of Finance, Law, Public Safety, Public Service. Department of Finance.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Want to give council an update on how 2023 ended up. These are obviously unaudited numbers, but we did close out the year so that we could open the new year 2024. So I'll just run over some general numbers in terms of our balances, revenues, and expenses. So for all funds, on an all funds basis, we started out the year with $10,016,058. We added to that over the course of 2023 by $23,053,955. Our expenses, again, this is for all funds, $22,324,090. So our unexpended balance went to $10,745,923. So that was an increase of approximately $730,000. For the general fund, we started the year with a beginning balance of $6,540,810. Our revenue for the general fund for 2023 is $17,207,044. Our expenses were $17,743,245. So our unexpended balance dropped to $6,004,609. There's a couple of points to remember for that. We did advance money at the end of the year to cover some of the receipts that we had not received by the end of the year. So those get categorized as an expense. That money will come back in this year as revenue. So we should get that money back. As of the end of the year, we're owed money for 3 big projects, 2 of which are with the Northeast Ohio Sewer District. 2 sewer jobs. One was approximately $339,000. Another one was approximately $132,000. And we're owed approximately $300,000 to $400,000 for the final settlement for the Cedar Road project from ODOT. I do not have those final settlement numbers. So we're somewhere between $750,000 and $800,000 that will be coming in as reimbursements. These are for jobs that we already paid for. We had to pay up front and then submit for reimbursement. So we should have $800,000 in revenue coming in probably, I would suspect, by the end of the first quarter. And that's all I have for tonight.
So, Mr. Kennedy, those are booked as receivables right now in
Yes.
2024? Okay.
Yeah. We will be starting the audit in the next couple of weeks, the audit for 2023. Right now, we're just finishing up end of the year payroll processing, W-2s, 1099s, that sort of thing. So, all good.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Kennedy? All right, Mr. McConville?
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I plan to provide a report to council in executive session this evening. I'd like to provide council an update on the eminent domain litigation with Yabi, along with an update on the status of the bankruptcy litigation in connection with University Square. And we'll add a third topic of discussing the administration of the settlement agreement with the Alexander School.
Okay, public safety. Police?
No report, Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Chief Rogers. Is there anything from fire?
Thanks, Vice Mayor. Good evening, Council. Earlier today, we sent out the monthly report for the fire department for December. We probably won't have one for January. We'll be working on the annual report. Get that out to you in the first quarter. We're approaching probably our 10th year or so in training firefighter safety and survival during the winter months. This has expanded greatly to not only our neighboring departments, but the entire Heights-Hillcrest region over the last few years, with thanks to our training officer, Captain Robinson. So you may see over the course of this month a lot of fire agency vehicles over here at Wiley. We're fortunate to be using the space still here, and we'll probably be putting about 100 firefighters through the training over the course of this month. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, Ms. Weiser?
Before you go, Chief.
Yes.
In view of the conditions in terms of like weather conditions, has fire or police done anything in terms of like looking at warming centers for our area, or if they're even needed?
I'm keeping a notice or an eye on the notices from the county about warming centers, but not had a need for anything internally here, no.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions for the chief? Thank you. Okay, service.
Yes, just briefly, this past Friday, we did our final round of leaf collection for the season. The final leaf truck is being taken out of service and being retrofitted for a plow truck as we speak. So we are now full blown into our winter snow removal season. So that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the service director? Okay. Building?
Good evening, Vice Mayor, Mayor, Council. I want to first of all say thank you all, and Luke, all director, for the good time I had here the last 4 months. You've all been very gracious, easy to work with, and responsive, and so I wanted to thank you for the experience. And I want to introduce your new building official. He's been in the seat now for a little over a week. His name is Mark Patterson. Some of you have met him. He just spent the last decade in Beach City, right next door, comes very highly vetted and recommended, and we've received no hiccups with him. I think you'll be very pleased with him. I'm going to allow him to just introduce himself.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Vice Mayor, Council. My name is Mark Patterson. As John said, I currently live in the city of Mentor with my wife of 42 years, Roberta. I have 2 daughters, Courtney and Melanie. Courtney actually lives in the city of UH with her husband, Joe Corney. I'm looking forward to continuing what John has started here, getting things back in order. And I appreciate the warm welcome I've received from the mayor and his staff. And I look forward to working with the other safety services to do what we're supposed to do.
Thank you. We look forward to working with you also. Okay, housing and community development.
Good evening. I'd like to report that we will find out about the status of the TLCI grant that we submitted for Taylor Road this Friday through NUACA. Things are kind of slow with the department at this time of year, but things will be picking up with the inspections of the multi-unit apartment buildings in the city, which will begin within the next month. That's all.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the housing director? Thanks. Mayor, are there any updates with engineering?
Well, we have anything I would say with engineering would have to probably be addressed with item A, as we have no city engineer.
And communications and civic engagement?
I have a report from Mike Cook, the Director of Communications and Civic Engagement. This is as follows. The next issue of Mosaic will hit mailboxes in the 3rd week of February. The 2024 winter-spring issue will include the University Heights Business Directory and a feature article from Alex Fletcher from Faces of Orthodoxy. The magazine will update residents on the launch of our Threads account and upcoming history presentation, the State of the City address, and the Sustainable Home Fair. The issue will also include our regular updates from the Cleveland Heights University Heights School District, the Heights Libraries, and John Carroll University. That concludes the report.
Thank you. Economic development?
I'll reserve my comments for executive session. That's okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Trotter. Okay. We'll now go to the reading and disposition of ordinances, resolutions, motions, and consideration of agenda items. The first agenda item is Ordinance 2024-01, authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Wallace Pancher Group for the provision of engineering services as city engineer and declaring an emergency on second reading. We discussed this in depth at the last meeting. We asked that Wallace Pancher Group come back with an updated contract. I guess, Mayor, you had a discussion with them. We did get an updated contract. Was there anything in addition to the contract that you wanted to do, state for the record?
Certainly. There is a memo in the packet, but I think there are a few things that we ought to go over from that memo and then beyond.